Let's do it. We got Oliveza, how we saying the name?
Oliveza, I believe.
I'm going to go with olive oil. Indian Mirror, olive oil in the color blue. Chusik in teal, both as the Indian. Chusik, ranked as a major, might give him a little bit of an edge. I've seen captains beat majors. I've beaten a major every once in a while on, sheer miracles. But I know I beat the dead horse of Yak Wars, but this is going to be a relevant Yak War since, both Indian players, both going to be moving very quickly around the map, trying to get these Yaks to get the extra XP. Who's going to win Yak Wars? Place your bets now. Will it be Olive Oil, Oliveza, or Chusik?
And so taking a look at the hunts on this map, they look really balanced for both players, both having the back one over here and a side one they can extend to for here. Some nice hunts in the middle as well as some farther ones out here to extend to like that and that. So I think
Oliveza already with 4 Yaks. Now, I know that we have to talk about Age 1 and all the importance of Age 1, but I really think we need to focus on Yak Wars.
Yeah, the 2 Yaks here, looks like those are going to go to Oliveza as well.
Yeah.
Chusik doesn't look as practiced here. He's kind of missing this one over here. This one
is going to probably escort him, but maybe there could be a steal, but no, both of his explorers seem to be preoccupied with other things. Both of them going for this treasure. Would you rather have 90 wood in the beginning, or would you rather have a superior amount of Yaks? Choice should be obvious.
Even still,
Oliveza is both going to have an extra amount of Yaks and 85 wood, so he's going to have his cake and eat it.
Yeah, basically Oliveza having the superior pathfinding for that very beginning of the match, getting all the Yaks going. I think he circled around here as well, just having the slightly better path. I don't know if it's necessarily practiced or not, or what he was going with there, but he did get more, and as well he did find the 85 wood treasure, which will put him on par with Chusik's 90 wood pickup as well.
On a completely unrelated note, that whole saying, have your cake and eat it too, like, if you had cake, what else would you do with it? Right? Like, it's cake. You're supposed to eat it. You're just going to look at your cake? But anyway. So, shipment sent, I'm pretty sure neither player has sent anything. Probably going to see the logging cards, the wood, or maybe my wood. What's it called? Pardon me. Wood play. Sounds like something different. Water play for the Indian players would be good. But I'm feeling a more standard build since this is a tournament match. Correct? Both laying down distributive is.
And so we're approaching the time where both players are going to be laying down their colonial age-up wonder. I would expect an aggro from both players, but we have to pay attention to where their villager's going. Chusik going forward with his villager right now. He's sitting on 700 wood, going to be able to queue that up probably very quickly once he gets around that area. Going to go with the aggressive one. And it seems like Oliveza's not going forward with a villager, so probably going to be the defensive player in this matchup.
Ooh, I got a Vil herding over here. Maybe trying to deter the 30 food treasure as well. Also with 9 Yaks, not to be trifled with. Now, I haven't played in. Is the Sacred Cow Shrine worth building? I don't see many players ever build, and I always wonder why, especially when you have like 10 and 9 Yaks respectively.
So with that, I think the experience bonus only actually affects cows and not anything like llamas or yaks or whatever other herdables there are.
So that makes sense. That makes sense. I've always wondered why. So someone in the chat probably knows. If you would like to enlighten us to this, by all means.
I'm not totally sure if that's correct, but basically it's 250 wood, so you would think it's about on par with a trade post. But given the fact that nobody builds it, I would assume at least that I'm correct there, and that it only affects the cows and not the yaks or any other herdables.
Yeah, and I guess with the 250 wood, it's like, hey, I'd rather go get a trade post that probably does more and is 50 wood cheaper.
Yeah, as well. It's more flexible should you get the stagecoach upgrade. But from both players, we see 2 villagers on the Wonder for Oliveza to kind of try to expedite that age up.
We also have a forward aggro versus defensive aggro going on here. Don't know how I feel about that. Do you prefer the forward aggro, the defensive aggro?
Oh, certainly. You know, I think we see a lot of the more skilled or more confident players going for the aggressive play style in these matchups. We did see an Indian mirror in the Azamp versus Turk match of the main tournament, round of 32. In the last match of that series, it was on Alaska. Azamp went with the forward aggro, and Turk played with the defensive aggro. Turk being somebody more akin to a defensive play style, but I think that just kind of spoke to his lack of confidence going against Azamp in that last match.
I think everyone fears Azamp in the sense that they don't understand what's going to come. So you kind of you almost by default play defensive because you're thinking, okay, it could be possibly anything. I want to be able to be flexible and react. But yeah, I understand. Typically, when you're the less confident player, you will play more defensively.
Yeah, and in RTS games especially, I think playing aggressive is actually the key. Or not playing aggressively, like going hyper aggro in their base, but just kind of maintaining control around the map, keeping momentum, keeping things... basically taking initiative. And what the forward aggro allows you to do there is basically, it gives you line of sight of the complete of the middle map. And you know, like scouting is a really important part of an Indian mirror. We did see, I think it was Tabin versus Conqueror 999. They as well played an Indian mirror. Conqueror 999 choosing to go with the defensive aggro, and what that did was basically he had no idea what Tabin was doing. Tabin went with an age 2 pressure, an age 2 timing, while Conqueror 999 was aging up to the fortress age. And during that time, he basically lost all of his units, Conqueror 999 that is, and then Tabin also followed him up to age 3, basically with a better military, a better economy, and he closed out the match from that point. So Oliveza, as well, maybe kind of taking a page out of the book of Conqueror 999, not the person he should be, considering Conqueror lost in the round of 32 against Tabin. A big mass of infantry coming out for Chusik. Gonna take down, barely missing that villager, but gonna get some good shots as well off on Oliveza's very diminutive mass of Gurkhas. But in terms of trades...
Centuries being called, or centuries be regular.
That certainly did not go poorly for Oliveza.
And we got Ottoman Minutemen as well. So it seems like all those Gurkha are going to go down with not much damage done by Chusik.
Yeah, basically killing 4 Gurkhas there and a little bit of villager idle time from Oliveza, but losing basically the 2 sepoys as well as maybe 10 or 12 Gurkhas. I'm not sure how many there were there. Let's look at the units lost tab. Yeah, losing 10 Gurkhas, 2 sepoys to Oliveza's sentry call as well as the 4 Gurkhas and the 2 sepoys. That definitely went in Oliveza's favor, getting in so much aggro damage as well there. Oliveza does lose his ability to use Minutemen later in the match, but considering that gave him a 6 Gurkha lead in the early game of this, in the early stages of this,
and the killing the 2 sepoy. Yeah,
that's really big. So I think that trade really went in the favor of Oliveza, especially considering also he got the safe 2.35 foreign logging shipment, whereas Chusik instead chose to go with the 600 wood, which is going to be a late game negative.
Well, Chusik is also being able to drop the Ottoman villagers. Oliveza doing the same thing right now. So, yeah, it doesn't seem like either is worse for wear. I don't think it'll be too decisive, although I would put Oliveza in a little more of a lead. 4 Sawars coming down for Chusik, and the military population is really skewed. I mean, Chusik has much more military that's viable. A lot of his military is made up of 1 HP sentries, so Oliveza really needs to start churning out the units, but he's going to age, and he's going to age the worst possible time. He's going to idle his economy, and I think that although there's not a lot of siege potential in this army, he's going to lose a lot of vills. I see at least 4 villager kills going down. He's already got 2. Here comes the next one. He's gonna lose 4, and if he's not careful, gonna lose a 5th. No, he lost at least 4 villagers that I saw, really evening up the economic disparity. 23 to 1. Aging up, yes, but aging up at an absolute crawl since no one is building that. Going to siege the Wonder never works. I never understood why people do this. The rate at which it goes up versus the rate at which you can siege it, it just, I when I'm China, I love when people do this because essentially idles their military, and I could take my time. These Gurkha seem to be really out of position. Idle time getting 1 kill. And now he's decided I'm not going to siege the Wonder anymore because it's not working. Come the Sowars, and this would have been much better if there weren't 2 Sowars to proxy them as well. The irregulars coming out, this could help as well, along with the bombard attack from the Agra fort, could help clean it up. But the Gurkha mass is just far superior, and although they are the counter, you have more stuff.
Yeah, that 4 sour shipment coming out for Oliveza, it did kill the remaining 2 sours from Chusik, as well as getting a lot of damage out on these Gurkhas as well, but I'm not sure if he...
Am I coming in?
It is a bit robotic. I'm not sure what we can really do about it, though. I can hear you perfectly fine, it just kind of digitizes periodically. How about now?
Yeah.
It doesn't seem any better. It sounded a little bit worse there.
Okay. Well, I don't know what's wrong.
It sounds pretty good now, but let's give it a minute and take a look at the map. If we look at the units lost tab, we can see that Chusik's sitting on 25 lost Gurkhas, 4 lost Sours, and 6 lost Sepoys. As well, being pushed out of Oliveza's base now. Gonna free Oliveza to, keep his bills on resources and maybe stabilize a little bit with another shipment coming through. But Oliveza having lost 10 villagers. That's really, really big. That's going to put Chusik ahead 10 villagers of his own, being 43 to 33 recalculated economic pop. And, it's not as big considering Oliveza's in the 3rd age and he's going to have more powerful shipments, but still, had he just been able to have a little bit more keen macro with his, penning up his villagers in the town center, that would have been much more preferable to, being 10 villagers down at this stage in the game.
Yeah, and especially since we're talking about shipments, right? Oliveza has another shipment, and it probably goes back to the Yak Wars. I mean, I know it's basically a meme, but having, 7 more Yaks than your opponent is really important in the India mirror.
Yeah, that's true. I'm going to take a look at the All Units tab. And Oliveza with those 9 Yaks to Chusik's 3, that is giving him... I do like that with this build order. The Fortress Age game style with India, or really in any mirror, is more centered around those shipments and getting them in and having a timing. And so having more Yaks kind of makes going to Fortress a more viable build order. It gets you out those shipments sooner when you need them. And if we take a look, an engagement going on here. The Sour is focusing, or the Cavalry Mass from Chusik, I should say, focusing on the Mahout from Oliveza.
Yeah, I still think Chusik has this. He just has much more stuff.
Yeah, this Infantry Mass getting a very, very nice surround for Chusik, being able to focus down these Sepoys of Oliveza, which is the only prohibitive force preventing those Sours from getting on Oliveza's Gurkhas.
The defensive aggro coming in handy. I think it's just a matter of time before GG is called. Leading 35 to 9 in military population, leading 41 to 31 in economic population as well. I don't see a ton of village back. Maybe they can just go chop something, but I think the TC is going down. Can really do. I don't know if he has a shipment that he got cooked up that is being sent. Let me see shipments. No, he definitely doesn't have another shipment coming for at least a while. So I'm pretty sure he just waits to die here, this being a tournament game. premature resignation is not ideal, but I believe it is, especially the Mans Sabador, whatever his name, the powered up unit, Gurkha, or Sepoy, just goes down. At least being able to deter some of the... Oh, and yeah, this is not good. The innocent Indian village. Oh, and a dock coming down. I've got my water play, but a lot later than I...
Oh wow! Look at take a look at Oliveza's base. The 7 Yorumi shipment coming out and cleaning up a small batch of Sepoys there as well. He's Oliveza being able to pen up his villagers in that fishing boat and escape them safely.
He's also got another shipment, behind this, so he might be okay, but I'm not too sure about this. He's, we got a castle coming down up here. He's got a lot of obstacles to overcome, and the main obstacle being 14 villagers ahead.
Yeah, that castle gonna very funnily actually give him line of sight of where Oliveza placed his villagers, but Oliveza getting line of sight of that as well, knowing he's not going to be safe there. But Chusik actually has a dock of his own, so there's pretty much no safe place on the coast for these villagers. They're going to have to stay in that fishing boat should they want to live, and then try to sneak back to his base and maybe run behind where Oliveza knows he can defend them. Chusik, he does have a bit of food stack, so I'm not sure if he's going to try to save to go up to the 3rd age. But either way, I think he's kind of okay, with this villager lead of his own, as well as a slight military advantage. He's kind of content with whatever line of play he goes. Even if he goes to the Fortress Age, it's not like Oliveza is going to be able to put together the God Mass and be able to pressure Chusik's forward base with the aggro and all those military buildings. And, should he just choose to commit to...
I'm sorry to interrupt. I have to go downstairs for a little bit. Something has come up really quick, so this one's pretty much there. It's GG. So maybe you can solo cast the next one, and I can join in for the next...
Yeah, that'll be alright.
Okay, I'll be right back.
Alright, see ya. But yeah, as I was saying, Chusik kind of being okay with whatever line of play he went with there. And Oliveza realizing he doesn't have a lot he can do there and calling the GG. And if we just want to look at the graphs shortly. If we look at the military unit population, Chusik going with the more aggressive build order, kind of a result, or not a result, but just basically what he planned to do from the start when he went with that more aggressive aggro, but losing them, basically going down to just 3 military units on the field. That engagement where Oliveza got his sentries out and the Minutemen, that went very well in the favor of Oliveza. But Oliveza choosing to age up, he lost his little remaining infantry mass here. And from that point, if we want to look at the all resources gathered, this is where Oliveza was penned up in his base. He didn't have resources to gather. He couldn't stabilize in age 3. I don't know if he ever got the veteran techs for his units. We can see there's some Yorumi, so those are shadow teched, but I don't see any Sepoy on the field. There's one, just a regular Sepoy, no veteran upgrade, as well as not having any Gurkha on the field. I don't think those were upgraded either. So basically, Oliveza, once Chusik walked into his base while he was aging, Oliveza was never able to get back on his feet, and accordingly, Chusik was able to keep up the pressure in age 2 and close out the game, and that's what we saw here. That was game 1 on Manchuria, going in the favor of Chusik. We're going to hop into game 2 here. I think the map is going to be Tibet. And should we go to a game 3, the map will be Gran Chaco. And Chusik's going to lock his civilization first. Of note, because I don't think we mentioned it earlier, this is going to be the Autumn 2018 Second Chance Tournament. This is a round of 32 game, obviously, between Chusik and Oliveza. The winner of this match is going to go on to the round of 16. They're going to play against a Chinese player. His name is Wukul. He's currently ranked a major or a high major, maybe low lieutenant colonel level. Chusik also sitting around that level, and Oliveza a captain here. Pier 28, but I believe he's also been Pier 29. Chusik gonna lock Dutch first on the map Tibet. I don't know that Tibet is one of the maps that Dutch most like to play on, but considering the civilizations will reset going into Game 3, I don't think it's necessarily the worst choice. Oliveza's instead going to lock Ottoman. Ottoman, you know, we've seen that a lot in this tournament, especially on this map. It having a very high trade post count. Ottomans being a civilization that their economy basically is entirely comprised of those trade posts, not having villagers or not having a lot of options with their villagers, I should say. Their villagers train very slowly. A normal villager trains in 25 seconds, but an Ottoman villager trains in 48 when it's unupgraded. So yeah, Ottomans like to play on very trade post heavy maps, but Dutch, they're a bit more agnostic. They don't really care for those trade posts or experience. They get enough experience just from their banks alone, and they don't like having to try to deny economic options that other players have in those trade posts. Dutch being a much more defensive civilization. But if we want to look at the hunts here real quick, I see a back hunt for Chusik as well as a back hunt for Oliveza. So it seems pretty good here that there are some herdable ones. One herdable out here. And it seems like this hunt towards the middle of the map can kind of be skirted around the plateau over here, and maybe with a defensive wall that becomes accessible for Chusik. So there's this one here. So I think the hunts are pretty good. So let's switch over to, actually let's take a look at the yak position as well. Some yaks skirting out on the outside of the map. A nice 2-yak pickup here with this Freytag, the pet macaque from Oliveza scouts them, which he indeed will. Creating a nice liaise for those yaks to safely get back to Oliveza's base. Chusik with 4 yaks already, both sitting on the same yak count. In terms of potential yaks, I think Oliveza is sitting in a better position with his pet macaque that he picked up early. Gonna scout out these 2 maybe if he's real keen. But the Dutch player also starting with an envoy. Let's see where that went. Over here. Basically the same position, but not going to find the same yaks that this pet macaque from Oliveza is going to be able to find. Also from Oliveza, we did see the trade post start. I suppose it was a coin start and not a 400 wood start for the Ottoman player, so he wasn't able to get up an additional mosque. I know that on EP, mosques are upgraded. They now give more experience points when they're built. A mosque, usually providing, I think it's like a 0.2 XP trickle, but on EP it's a bit more than that. We did change the text as well, but that's not so much a concern in Age 1. In terms of treasures, let's take a look. My page up and page down will work. So Oliveza picking up 80 coin, again, not too big for the Ottoman in Age 1. Chusik getting the 85 wood. Oliveza 40 wood. About even on treasures so far. But Chusik also creeping a 90 wood treasure. Gotta be keen not to let Oliveza pick that up, snipe that from him. But I don't think Oli has a line of sight of it right now, which is going to go vastly in the favor of Chusik. You know, his Explorer walking very far away from that, leaving it very exposed to just a single crack shot from the opposing player's Explorer. Both players going up to queuing up to the colonial age around the same time. Oliveza going to use his town center fire, maybe pick off this Explorer from Chusik. No, barely making it away with just 40 hit points. Would have definitely been taken down if you were a little bit closer to the TC there. But going to come away alive, and in fact be able to pick up this 90 wood treasure, which Oliveza currently doesn't know about. So making off with his Explorer there was actually very, very impactful for Chusik, which is going to expedite him getting up that bank. Chusik being very good with his macro, knowing that that 90 wood would complete out the resources needed to build his first bank there. coming out just on time. Probably even going to be able to queue up his first villager without any idle time. We see a second trading post coming up for Oliveza. As well as staying on wood, so I think he's going to try to go for the third as well. Let's take a look at their decks. Oliveza with the Silk Road. I'd be surprised to see that as the second card. He doesn't have ATP, so he's not going for that line of play. Chusik as well. A standard deck, more or less. I'd expect to see 700 wood or 1 bank out first. In fact, Oliveza did go with the Stagecoach card. What that's going to do is it's going to increase the resources in each of these crates by 25%. So basically, a 100 wood crate becomes 125 wood, and this little batch of 400 wood becomes 500 wood in total. But in fact, in terms of aggressive play, we're seeing a Chusik build a forward barracks. That forward barracks, I'd expect 700 wood to come out first rather than 1 bank. That 700 wood going to give Chusik much more flexibility. In fact, I was dead wrong, the bank being the first card in Colonial Age for Chusik. I kind of think I would have liked to see 700 wood there. It's not as economic of a build order, but 700 wood being able to give Chusik, basically it could you know, provide him with pikeman production. It would have given him more houses and a market. It might have given him a second barracks or a second stable, but early on I suppose it's not too important because anyway, this Dutch player isn't going to be able to be producing so many units that he needs all those production facilities. Let's look at the units in queue. In fact, we don't need to. Seeing 5 skirms pop out early for here. Going in a bit blind, he doesn't necessarily know that Oliveza wasn't going for like a 5 cav semi-FF or something like that. But still being a bit cocky, a bit confident. Prodding in with these 5 skirmishers. Gonna lose one of them. But pressuring one of the villas, creating some idle time for Oliveza. 8 pikemen as well coming out for the Dutch player. Again, doing a bit of prodding, but losing some skirmishers there. I don't know that Oliveza is too concerned. But especially with these reinforcing skirmishers come in here, and no, not a single unit production facility for Oliveza yet. Not a barracks, not a stable, not an artillery foundry, and a very, very awkward Miniman call coming out of the wrong side of the TC. As well as being kind of awkwardly timed to where you're not getting any shots off on of any of Chusik's military yet. One getting picked off. Damage on another, and these 3-1 sitting idle in the back. Not the greatest of micro or macro from Oliveza here. Kind of a waste of 150 wood, 150 coin. 150 food, that is. But the stable coming up, as well as a barracks or an artillery foundry foundation being placed. We can look at Oliveza's resources. 700 coin coming in. He's not going to be hurting on coin, but he really needs to get his food up in case he wants to get a full batch of hussars in order to be able to fend off this skirmisher mass. But 8 pikes coming in, gonna look to siege something down. They see that artillery foundry. Gonna go straight for that. And basically, Chusik having so many units in Oliveza's base that he doesn't really care if Oliveza focuses down his pikemen, because he's already doing so much damage having all of Oliveza's villagers penned up in the TC. 4 hussar coming out. I hope Oliveza does well to hide these so that he can get a pin on these teal skirmishers from the Dutch player, while the town center picks off all the pikemen. Ooh, and the 3 hush shipment coming out. Gonna lose the artillery foundry, but not caring too much. I'd like to see him focus down these pikemen first with his hussars. Basically take out all the anti-cavalry right away. Losing a single villager as well as a single hussar, but gonna be able to take down all of Chusik's military, bringing him down to 0 population as well, keeping 6 nicely intact health points hussars of his own. I'd like to see him move around the map. Go and get some raids, some pressure. swing the momentum in his favor. Gonna see an envoy here. I hope he leaves maybe at least one of the hussars to pick that off, but he's not going to do that here. But even still, that engagement going in the favor of Oliveza, we can look at the recalculated economic unit population for both players and see that Chusik has double the economy of the Ottoman player. The Ottoman player, of course, having a 3 TP stagecoach as well as a... Oh, it doesn't seem like he has a trade post over here. But 3 TP stagecoach, that is a nice economic boost to the Ottoman player. Not quite going to put him on par with Chusik. Chusik aging up here, not building any more units in the colonial age. Just penning up his villas in the town center. Going to push away the 6 hussars from the Ottoman player, but... Ooh, scouting out these... a lot of villagers here for the Dutch player. Chusik still hasn't noticed, but he has noticed now. But he's still going to lose at least 2, 3, maybe 4 villagers here. Getting up, probably going to queue a Reuter first, and maybe send the 9 Reuter shipment, having one saved up. That was a pretty nice raid for Oliveza. I think he killed 4 or 5 villagers there. It doesn't quite even out the economic unit population for both players, but it does, there's nothing bad about killing those villagers from Oliveza's side, so he's pretty content to see that there. But knowing he can't really do any more pressure once he's in his base, those hussars not having enough siege to really impact that 6,500 HP town center as well, putting him at risk of just getting surrounded by 5 Reuters and a 9 Reuter shipment pop, maybe Minutemen as well. Just going to go forward, siege this middle barracks from the Dutch player. 5 Reuters, going to get some shots off on the hussars. Pushing back Oliveza's mace. Oliveza's mass. And 5 Jans coming out here. Oliveza also choosing to eat his yaks at this time. He does have 5 trade posts around the map. 1 line fully upgraded to stagecoach. It's going to grant those 3 trade posts quicker XP or whatever resource they're queued to gathering. The Ottoman player not really having a good unit with which to counter these Reuters. Janissaries are kind of in a so-so counter to the Reuters. They have the same range, and of course the Janissaries do more damage, but they don't have range resistance, and en masse these Reuters do quite well against basic musketeer units. Some helps coming out for Chusik. Not the worst of decisions, considering he's seen how much hussars Oliveza has chosen to build. Just going for the double anti-cavalry composition. As well, it's going to give him some siege damage against these houses and orbiting production facilities from Oliveza. Chusik doing a nice job with his Reuters here, getting some pot shots against Oliveza's units. Losing a few Reuters, but also taking down quite a few Janissaries. Doing a good job to focus fire them down, not missing any DPS. Oliveza sitting with 6 trade posts as well as fully upgraded stagecoach on both sides. Just heading up to the Fortress Age. In fact, that kind of puts him on equal footing with Chusik in terms of economy, but in terms of military, he's still on the back foot, not really having a good way to contest this Reuter mass from Chusik. As well, losing 2 houses, being pop-capped, not being able to produce anything from this barracks or stable for the time being. Instead, just going to send his remaining hussar batch around the back to Chusik's base, where he knows that he's very likely to be gathering from this coin mine, especially with the stagecoach trade cart giving him line of sight there. Chusik continuing to put pressure on in Oliveza's base, but this is going to be a big, big raid. Chusik noticing it in time, but not before he's going to lose quite a few villagers. I do wonder how many he's going to be able to take down before those get penned up in the TC. We can see at least 4, 5, 6, maybe even a 7th going down there. as well, one being trapped there. So that's 8 villagers, maybe even 9 or 10 lost for Chusik. Even still, Oliveza not really having the military mass with which he needs to be able to contest the military mass that Chusik has out. But Chusik kind of being in an awkward spot where he's not necessarily putting pressure on Oliveza's economic. In fact, the first shipment in the Fortress Age for the Ottoman player going to be 9 Manchus. I think that is a good pick considering he knows that Chusik is kind of investing more in these halberdiers and these Reuters. He's not going to have skirmishers, which are the kind of the counter unit to these Manchus. Manchus, of course, going about even with the Reuters and in conjunction with his other units. Vet Husk coming in now as well. Should he be able to kind of time a correct engagement, I think he could do well with these strong mercenary type units. But, on the other hand, 12 Swiss pikes coming out for the Dutch player. And should those as well be able to get a nice proper engagement, whether, you know, being in hand combat with these Manchus or with the Hussars, it's going to be hard for Oliveza to piece something together to where he can handle these. More so than I would say the Manchu are for Chusik. That town center just going to be melted down by these Swiss pikes. Not losing too much in there, but definitely not an unsubstantial loss for Oliveza. Going to lose, I think it was about 6 villagers there. Basically making up for the raid that he got against Chusik. Oliveza now pressuring Chusik's base with a bunch of Hussars and some Manchus. These being low siege damage units, I don't know quite how effective that's going to be besides the idle time, you know, having those villagers in the town center brings. But the longer this game goes, especially considering Oliveza lost so many villagers, I think it's going to go more and more in the favor of Chusik, the Dutch player, having a superior Age 3 fighting composition, as well as the ability to mass straight up. Oliveza now having no production facilities around the map besides this one barracks and as well a barracks up in Q, but are Janissaries really what he needs right now? I don't even know that, let's say, 20 Janissaries would be able to take on this mass of Swiss pikemans backed by just 5 skirmishers. As well, 8 skirmisher shipment coming down for Chusik. And this Reuter mass continuing to prowl around the map. 5 more Reuters just everywhere. Getting some really nice shots off Oliveza as well, popping the Minutemen there. That's going to sponge a lot of damage that he needs. He is losing a bit more Manchu than I like, but he did kill off basically that entire mass of Reuters. And just as the veteran Janissaries pop, going to bring these Hussars forward to kill off these skirmishers. Chusik. This was a really nice engage for Oliveza. One of the better ones he could have taken, I think. All of the Minutemen still alive, doing DPS against these Swiss pikemen. Well, still has 2 Manchus DPSing and gonna send the Hussars elsewhere on the map to pressure Chusik. But despite Chusik having a big military lead there, engaging at 2 places at once, or having only half of his military engaging while, you know, the other half were trying to catch up, basically gonna lose everything here. All of these Swiss pikes, and as well probably all of these Reuters, should he not pull them back. As well, still has some villagers penned up in his base, might even lose one. Losing another. 7 skirms, as well as 5 Reuters. Gonna push back these Hussars. A scrappy game so far. But even still, Oliveza doing really well. You know, these 6 trading posts have not been contested at all by the Dutch player. And they're really, really paying off now. In fact, that basically puts Oliveza ahead in terms of economic potential. Getting out 2 town centers. as well as having a very safe mine to gather from, should he need. He's a bit mismacroed, so he's not going to need that coin mine, going to a bit more exposed musk deer hunt. But still, he's not under that much pressure. These Janissaries matching up pretty well against the Reuters as well, getting some town center fire in then. No town center fire, actually. Oh! Yeah, some sloppy engages there for Chusik, so calling GG. What a weird game. That was a bit weird. It was a bit scrappy, and I wasn't really sure what was going on from either player. But basically, both players losing a lot of villagers, but it wasn't enough for Chusik. These 6 stagecoach upgraded trade posts providing so much economic basis for which Oliveza could remass, rebuild these town centers, giving him so much wood to which he could build these barracks, of course, these artillery foundry, having lost his barracks, basically his entire original base, and all of the production facilities and infrastructure that he had there. So nicely, that's going to actually type the series. I did forget to update the score there. I apologize for that. It's going to type the series. This is a best of 3. We're going to move on to game 3. It'll be on Gran Chaco. So either player can choose any civilization they've prior played. So should Oliveza choose, he could have played Ottoman or India, was I believe what he played in game 1. Instead opting to lock Japanese here on Gran Chaco. This is going to be match point in a best of 3 series of the Autumn 2018 Second Chance Tournament. This is the round of 32, and the winner of this match will move on to face Wukul in the round of 16. So it's going to be Chusik's pick on this map. He doesn't necessarily need to lock a civilization. And he might in fact just be waiting for Oliveza to finish his deck so he can kind of scout out what Oliveza's plan in this game will be. Chusik originally switching to the Ottoman there, and that definitely would have been... Ooh, switching to it again, in fact. Seems like he's keen to play this matchup. On Gran Chaco, especially a map without any trade posts, we can kind of see in that previous game, Oliveza really using those trade posts to keep him afloat in that game, giving him enough wood with which to rebuild his base after he had lost it to Chusik's mass push. But this map, Gran Chaco, not having any trade posts, that's not going to be an option for Chusik. So we're certainly not going to see a very economic style of play come out for Chusik in this match. We're definitely going to see a very aggressive build, but even still, I kind of am questioning how effective that might be. Still Japan, quite a slow civilization. So if Chusik is very conscious of the way he engages, he might be able to pull off a very quick victory. The series is going to be tied 1-1. This is game points in a best-of-3 series, round of 32 of the Autumn Second Chance Tournament. We're going to have Oliveza spawning in the north of the map on Gran Chaco, playing as Japan and the color blue. Chusik, on the other hand, playing as the Ottoman in the teal color, immediately building a mosque with that starting wood that he got. The mosque on EP is a little bit buffed. It gives more XP trickle than it normally does on the RE patch. So while it's not quite as good as something like a trade post, it certainly is better than it is normally on RE patch. Definitely not something to be underestimated. Oliveza, on the other hand, let's see if he's picked up any big treasures. Nothing yet, just scouting. Let's take a look at the hunts first before going to his base. So we see a good hunt for here for Chusik, another. And hunts seem about even, spawning in all the right places and being extendable for. So let's switch on the cam. But Oliveza getting a nice line of sight on this 120 coin treasure. I think it was guarded by 2 Jaguars. It might have been 3, but I believe it was 2, which is why he was able to pick it up so quickly. 120 coin for the Japanese player. Not going to be terribly useful in age 1 or until after he's built a market, which he won't build until around age 2. But even still, denying it from the Ottoman player later in the match. Never bad. But Chusik, the Ottoman player as well, finding a 105 coin treasure, and I think he's going to be keen to snipe that very soon here. If we look at the llama count, we can see basically Oliveza has all of the llamas on the map so far. And depending on when he sends his this last monk, if he were to send it over this way, he would actually have all 8 of 8 llamas on this map in his base, ready to be tasked to shrines. Even still having a majority, 6 to a potential 2 from Chusik, but even still, I can see Chusik's explorers quite far away and hasn't scouted this region of the map where those last 2 llamas might be. In fact, Oliveza picking up those those llamas so quickly, I don't even know if Chusik actually is aware that there may be livestock on this map. Chusik aging up. I can't see the age-up politician yet, I believe. Maybe over here. Can't tell. I'm not sure if he'll go for the 400 wood quartermaster politician or the 200 coin 1 outpost politician. The 400 wood basically being able to give him more resources with which to build an artillery foundry, a barracks, as well as another house, so he could get an early Jan Abyss composition and pressure the Japanese player. I think it'll be 400 wood considering how much he chopped in age 2. Of course, the barracks, the artillery foundry, and a house, all costing 200, 300, and 100 wood respectively, if I said that right. 600 wood in total, basically. Whereas the coin, I wouldn't see why he would have gathered 200 wood specifically if he were going with the coin age up. This map, of course, not having trading posts, so not really having a good way to sink that 200 wood that he gathered. Oliveza just starting to age up now, or it was a few seconds ago, and tasking 4 villagers to it as well. It's going to be the Toshogu Shrine. I'm kind of out of the way of any of his potential hunts, but probably going to be content to... Ooh. In fact, Chusik was actually able to steal a few of those lambs. I hope he... or llamas, I should say. I hope he notices them and kind of continues to steer them away from Oliveza's TC, but in fact, I don't think he's noticed either. Killing them now. Gonna prevent, oh, actually, it was the Torii Gates. Not a Toshogu Shrine, like I said earlier. The Toshogu Shrine being the standard age-up for Japan. Being the more economic one that allows them to shrine boom more effectively. But instead going up with the Torii Gates, which is going to grant him a military rickshaw, which will allow him to build a barracks or a stable, should he choose, and giving him 1 samurai as well. And we see that Chusik actually did go up with the outpost and the 200 coin. And he's straight up going to age 3. So I think what we're going to see here is 5 Janissaries pop out early here. Maybe a quick task to a shrine, siege that down. Then we're going to see 8 Jans as Chusik's first shipment in the Fortress Age. Then he's going to get the veteran tech for those Janissaries and then send 2 Falcons and push on Oliveza's base. Five Ashigaru coming out as the first shipment from the Japanese player. I want to see what he's going to make with that. Is he going to go straight, just barrel straight for where he knows Chusik's base is? His forward base, that is. Or is he going to play a more stealthy line of attack? Going to pick up a treasure, maybe send these Ashigaru out this way and try to get a cheeky raid in Chusik's base. A 3 Jan batch coming out here. Probably not what Chusik wanted, queuing those a little bit too early, but maybe even in fact not having the right population space with which to do that. Doesn't have a market up or any vills gathering on wood, so he's either going to need to chop 100 wood for it or find a treasure, or send 700 wood as he does right here. But with that said, a massive Ashigaru mass for the Japanese player. Especially considering that Ashigaru actually have 4.5 speed compared to 4 speed from the Janissaries. They're going to be able to catch up with them and get some DPS in, maybe kill all of them. 4 Obus guns being the age of politician for Chusik, but popping out on a weird angle, gonna lose all of them very quickly, having done a little bit damage. But Minutemen popping out as well, gonna get in more DPS and continue to push away Oliveza's military mass. In terms of trades there, I think it went okay for Oliveza. You know, he basically killed a lot of Chusik's units, a lot of his age-up bonus, and also getting forcing a Minutemen call, but losing about 6 Ashigaru there, I believe. Chusik, on the other hand, I think he lost 1 Janissary, with 2 Janissaries being damaged, and he did lose all of his Obus guns that he got from the age-up. But this map not having any trade posts, I was kind of confused by that 700 wood. Basically, what that's going to do is it's going to slow down Chusik's shipment progression by a lot. I'm not sure if he sent 8 Jans here, if he has the 4th shipment available to him, or if his XP meter is indeed what it is right now. It does look like he does have the 4th shipment in queue. You can see 230 experience points needed for shipment 5. So he's going to have 8 Janissaries pop out right there. Probably has, look at the research, the text being researched. Doesn't have the veteran upgrade for Janissaries yet. Not completed nor in queue. Doesn't quite have the coin for that upgrade yet. Even still, going to push in with a superior military mass in Oliveza's base. But in terms of military population, Players about even now, although Oliveza with a disconnected army. We'll lose some Ashigaros here as well. Let's see if those Ashigaros that went north reconnected with the main mass. Nope, they're applying some pressure down here. Very well, I might say. Pushing Chusik off of the hunt he wants to be gathering from. Heading them up in the TC. Quite nice, but Oliveza also has to take care on his base. Make sure he doesn't lose too much infrastructure as well. The 2 Falconet shipment going to be coming out here soon for Chusik. Oliveza again with some nice pressure, pounding up all of the Ottoman players' villagers. But all these Ashigaros on quite low hit points, they're not going to be able to do much afterwards. Getting the veteran Janissary tech from Chusik. Going to significantly strengthen up the Janissaries here. Janissaries being a very tanky unit. They're going to be a difficult unit for Oliveza to get past if he wants to kill the 2 Falconet shipment impending from Chusik. Falconets popping out for Chusik now. Oliveza only getting a pop of 1 Naganatas as well. Going to be pushed off of this coin mine treasure that he so desperately needs if he wants to be able to train anti-artillery. Falconets being tasked to the town center, while the Janissaries are going to siege down this consulate. Getting 2 birds with 1 stone. Oliveza sitting with a kind of impoverished mass. His 5th shipment going to be 5 Yumis, but what's that really going to do against 2 Falconets and a massive contention of Janissaries? Coming out here with all of his villagers, as well as sentries. Not focus firing down the Falconets yet, but he did get in a lot of damage with the town center against one of those Falconets. Gonna use the villagers to sponge, but how effective that's gonna be, I'm not entirely sure. 1 Falconet going down, but having inflicted so much damage. Oliveza losing a lot of his economic potential there. Gonna call GG. And that'll be game point going in the favor of Chusik. Chusik winning this best of 3 series in the round of 32. Gonna move on to the round of 16, where he's going to be facing Wukul. So I think Oliveza had some good ideas there. You know, he was getting a lot of pressure down in Chusik's base. As well, I especially liked when Chusik only had 3 Janissaries out, and Oliveza was pressuring his base with 15 Ashigaru. Although in terms of execution after that point, that engagement that went on in Chusik's town center, while he was able to get 4 Obelisks down, he kind of got pinned by those Minutemen there, the Minutemen call from Chusik, and he did end up losing a lot of Ashigarus there. After that point, he was still able to do a nice job raiding, but when it came down to the crunch period, the timing of Chusik with the Janissary mass and the 2 Falconets, Oliveza just didn't really have it together, nor did he micro that final fatal engagement for him as much as I might have liked. And that'll be Oliveza eliminated from the second chance tournament.